Hey guys, good afternoon. It's Darren from Jace Media right here in Glasgow. And in the chair in the very early hours of the morning is six-string gunslinger James Sanguinetti from Bay Area rockers Mordred. James, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic, and I've been looking forward to this. I'm really digging the music. The album is fantastic. It must have been a lot of fun to make.
Yeah, it was different making this record. We all have jobs at this point. We're so far removed from the industry that we used to be in. So it took a bit longer. Obviously there's families now and work, and it was a little more challenging than we anticipated. And Danny, at the time when we were recording and writing, was still living on the East Coast. So usually he and I go back and forth with stuff, but we were kind of bringing things to the table separately. So it was definitely different, but we wanted to try and kind of capture where we left off. I mean, we're all the same guys, and we still have the same musical taste.
Yeah.
And that's a question I have for you. I'm wondering, what do you think of the albums that we had done previously and this one, and how it fits? Does it fit together for you?
It fits together, but I get that this is for me, it's a stronger vibe, this album, than say the next room, which was 25 years ago. Obviously musical tastes have changed, but I guess this is it's a stronger, grungier feel with a real rocking section to it, if that kind of makes sense, James.
Yeah. Well, the only thing we changed would be Gannon's no longer drumming, so we have Jeff, who was in Fungo Mungo and Merv and a couple of bands here in the Bay Area, and we're kind of thrilled with the idea that when you see bands come back after a few years, 10 years or whatever, generally it's like one or two guys, whereas we have 5 of 6 guys, which is pretty uncommon. And we're all pretty close. Scott and myself, our boys are, they've grown up together. They're best buds. They've known each other since birth, and it's just, it's the Bay Area scene's kind of a small scene. And it's good that we were all kind of sticking together. And it's good to see a lot of the bands, like Death Angel and other bands, really are more successful now, I believe, than they were when we were all really doing it for real.
I guess what you get a lot of, James. I guess what you get a lot of, James, is that bands, when they come back, you guys have taken like a 25-year, I feel like, hiatus, right, and just chilling out. And it's interesting what you said right at the start, that you're at your job, you're plumbing. Most people would think, my God, bands like Mordred, they must roll in the cash. They don't need to work. And it's very interesting, and it's very humbling that you're working, to feed, if you like, feed your habit of being in a rock band. And that's very admirable. And I think it's great that, you can do both.
Yeah, no, I mean, most musicians, unless you get to a certain point, and I don't know where that is because we've never reached it, but generally most people I know are working, I mean, you have to get to a certain point. Mordred, even in, the 80s and 90s, when we were kind of doing it full time, I guess, I still worked. We never really got paid. The money that we got, from t-shirts and touring and things, just went back into the band to make sure the band sustained itself. I'm sure there was a little money for us here and there, but nothing I could have never raised a family on or bought a home. I couldn't even, none of it, but it was something we like to do and still like to do. And we're talking about writing again. So we now going to start putting our heads together and getting another record, I believe. Hopefully it doesn't take as long this time, since we are now a kind of a tighter unit and together and ready. The one thing that we're finding a little challenging is they're like, we had to pay for everything, right? There wasn't like a record company that says, okay, here's 100,000, go give me a record, and here's your tour support, and here's all this. It's all coming from us. So it's a little, again, that makes the process a little slower, just because we're finding out where the best thing to record with our budget and our, so it's just, I'm happy with the sound of the record. Tonally, it's really good. That's really important to me. I think the first couple of records for me, sound wise, I'm not thrilled with. It wasn't until like Vision and The Next Room. I know people don't care for The Next Room as much as they do like the first records, but I think totally for me, it's a much stronger record than the other previous ones. And then, so I think we're getting better sound wise, I think, and technology is helping on that too, because you don't need to go into a $500,000 recording studio. You can go into a $10,000 recording studio and it really sounds the same.
Yeah, and you still get the same sound, and I think you're right. But I do agree. I think this record is a lot stronger. It's got a, there's a. I think maybe with you guys getting back together, there's a renewed sense that this was going to be one of the best you've made. It's 8 tracks, and it's just from start to finish. I didn't stop tapping my feet, and I didn't stop nodding my head, because I was so engrossed in the record, and it's just it's a different sound record to maybe most rock and most grunge and crossover stuff you hear. It's so different, and it's great that you've maintained that in the 25-year absence.
Yeah, it's, again, we are who we are, so it's kind of like embedded in us all. We all have the same musical background, so whatever we put in before, it's still coming out just so much later. But there's a lot of people that feel that, I mean, as a metal band, and it's hard to say, we're not a thrash band, we're a hard band to label. So, yeah. And that was a part of limited success, because most bands are one thing, and it's easy to market, and the record company had a hard time with us, and so did a lot of people. And there's a lot of people that the metal purists don't like what we were doing in a way, because we're like, it should be this, and it's like, well, there's enough of that already. We can, we'll go this way, They can still listen to all of that, and then we listen to everything. I mean, we really listen to so much different styles of music, and we like to incorporate it. It's just a part of our, who we are.
Yeah, it's part of your makeup, which I think is great, because it means that when someone says, don't like this and don't like how you are, that to me, that tells me that these people are scared, because they probably like the music, but they don't know how to label you. And I don't really think it's fair that for someone to label you and go, you're neither this nor you're that. And the fact that you've just said that you listen to different genres of music and then you incorporate it into the songs, that's a bit of genius, because you could be a rock band and just play rock tunes all day, but you have a bit of sample in there, you have a bit of scratching, you have a bit of you have a bit of tone, you have a bit of rap, and I think that's brilliant, because it lends itself to the record. And I think that's what makes it stand out.
Right. I agree. I think we're fortunate now that everything we've done in the past and everything that we're doing currently, we're able to do really anything we want. I mean, there's no, I mean, if we want to do an acoustic song, it's okay, because we've done everything. So it doesn't, no one's going to go, oh, that just doesn't make sense for Mordred, it's just because it's like, oh, they're doing that fits, it's a part of, it's growth, or it's part, there's a lot of bands that they're just one shot. That's one thing they do. And if they deviate from it, people start scratching their heads,
Yeah. I think you're totally right. I think if you make all these records and people go, yeah, that this next record is going to be the same as that. And then you pull 8 tracks out of the bag and people go, well, I'm really confused. I'm scratching my head because I'm not sure of this. But you know what? I think that keeps it fresh, you know, and it keeps people guessing what they're
Yeah.
going to do, what they're going to do next, you know. And I think that, as I said way back at the start, I think it's just because people are a bit scared that you're going to come out with something that they probably think they're not going to like, but they know themselves, wow, this is an excellent record, you know. And I think when you instantly hear, you know, the tracks coming out, you think, wow, this is just going to be a quality record, you know. And as I say, from start to finish, I was like just tapping my foot, going, this is really good, you know. And as a reviewer, you know, I listen to hundreds of different genres every day, every week, you know, and I'm forever reviewing bands from all over the world. And I feel very blessed that I get, this is my favourite part of the job, getting to talk to musicians and rock stars who are, like you've just said, I'm a plumber by day. You're very humble. You just want to come on and chat about the music. And it gives me a chance to let the listeners and the viewers see James Sanguinetti just as a normal guy who likes to play music, you know?
Sounds like you have a pretty fun job, actually.
James, I'm like you, I have a full-time job as well as this.
Yeah.
But this, the reviewing side of this takes up lots of my time. You know, you get an album. An album could take you 2-3 hours to do one album. Your album took me in just over 2 hours to do, because what I like to do is I like to do a playthrough first, listen to it, get into the groove, and then I take it back and I pour myself a glass of red, and then I start to write, and then I think, no, I'm not. Take that bit out, put this bit in, you know, and then go back to the song and go, this is what I feel. So for me, you know, I feel very privileged that, you know, A, that I get to listen to music, B, that I get to listen to a couple of months before anyone else, and C, I get to do the best part of the job, which is talking to you guys. It's just incredible.
It sounds fun. I mean, it's plus you get to learn and find new music that you might not have come across before. So you probably have a pretty good palette of different styles. And me, yes. I like everything for the most part. I mean, there's really not a music I don't really care for, except for one thing, which would be, you'll find it in every genre, which is people that are trying to make music for the sole intention of being famous or trying to make money. And it's usually blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's no passion in it. It's put together for a certain purpose, only to present themselves as something like a star, or, you know, I can't stand that, you know, and it's really, you'll see it everywhere, but for in general, I like acoustic music. I like, you know, I'll listen to everything, put it on all day, and wake up the next day and do it again, you know.
I think the thing for you guys as musicians, I think that's very important, you know, because you get to listen to new sounds, and you think, I'm writing this track and I could incorporate a bit of scratching, a bit of double bass, a bit of out loud cymbal, a bit of, you know, funk and, you know, snare drum all the way through the track. And I think it's really important when you listen to different genres that you can incorporate that into your music. And it's not that I'm cheating a little bit, but, you know, you could say, oh, we're Mordred and we do, you know, like everybody will label you a groove, thrash, punk, or funk band, and you go, but we're not. We're this and we're this. And right. You go in the studio with the guys and you go, let's lay down this track, and people go, wow, that's just amazing. It doesn't sound like the normal Mordred. It doesn't sound like thrash. You know, there's a mismatch, and I think that's what keeps you guys fresh. Now, the fact that you've been away for 25 years, how was it when you went into the studio? How did you feel? Was it like you haven't been away? Did you feel strange?
For me, yeah. I mean, I personally, when Mordred like officially ended, I think was like 95 after quickly after that the Next Room record came out.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up an electric guitar for years. I mean, literally like 6 years. I played acoustic every day, but never played electric. With the exception of the times that like we get together and do a show or a benefit or something. So I think it must have been the better part of 10 or 12 years I did not play electric guitar.
Wow, that's incredible.
My solos, not that they were fantastic in the beginning, but they really suffered for a bit, because as I'm a plumber, I'm wrenching on things. My hands are tight. Now I haven't soloed in so long, so we get back into the rhythm of things, and I'm trying to put a guitar solo together. I'm like, okay, this is not good, So I kind of had to do a bit of work on that one, but but yeah, it was kind of familiar, but then again, it was odd just being so far removed from the business, and the business has completely changed.
Yeah.
Again, there used to be a time where you'd get signed, you'd get money, you'd give them a product, they'd go fantastic or whatever. Hey, you're going on tour. Now it's just you go into the studio and you create something, and you hope it'll get a listen. I mean, it's hard to figure out how to really get it out there for us. We're fortunate that M Theory, the distributor who's working with us, is really we other than Facebook and things, that would be it for us, So
yeah, absolutely. So different. Well, I reviewed the album for you guys, and we stick it on. We have about 180,000 listeners that tune in every month. On all various.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I always ask my boss before I'm going to interview one of the guests. I always ask him kind of where the figures are at, and I think at the last we were just over 1,000 views for the album from my review. So basically, what I do, I don't know if you have it, James, but this is what I do. I review the full album.
Okay.
Yeah, I review the full album track by track, and I put you guys' names on it, and I put the track listing, and then I post it on my website, and then we post it all over the world. It goes to America, it goes to Australia, it goes to Europe, and you get all different genres of all the bands picking it up, and then the band will come on and say thanks very much for the review. It was brilliant. I really appreciated it. I don't know if you have it. If you would like the review, I can always send it to you, and you can talk to the guys and tell them how good or how bad it was. But
definitely,
that's kind of what I do with all of my reviews, and then and then it goes out into the big wide world. So this video that we were doing just now, it'll probably be up on Sunday or Monday. And then we send it out to America and Australia, because obviously you have a massive following out there, and people will see the video, and and as I say, this is the coolest part, because I'm thinking, my God, I thought James was this or he was that, and they'll discover that you're just an ordinary guy who has a job, and loves to play guitar, and I think that's really good because it lets people connect with you.
Yeah, that's cool. Sounds like you've got a cool little operation there. We're thankful to you and everybody that's been reviewing this record, because the general vibe has been pretty positive. I'd say 95%, like extremely positive, and we're stunned and humbled by that. We weren't expecting it at all.
And how do the boys feel about it? Do they are you on the back of this? Are you trying to get some sort of tour going or something like that? Is that next in the offing, or is it just another record?
I'll say that again. I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'm saying, obviously, on the back of recording the album, are you and the boys hoping to try and get out, do a bit of touring, or are you going to try and get another record on the go first before you tour, or is a tour not possible? Or
well, the COVID thing has put a little damper on touring plans. And it seems like all the bands that were booked are now getting to tour, so we're like a year or so backwards. So I'd like to tour. It probably won't be until the following summer.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping by then we're in the process of finishing writing, and after a tour go in and record another album so we can then tour again.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantees we'll get to tour with. We had a show booked on the 14th that we had to postpone because the COVID thing's starting to grow again here. We do have another show tomorrow, which is an outdoor kind of festival style show, you know, with 20-minute bands get to play for 20 minutes. I think Blind Illusion and I can't remember who else is playing. We just kind of roll up. It's like 2 hours away. We roll up, bring our guitars, play for 20 minutes and roll out. So I think we'll be pretty safe, but yeah, it's a different, who saw that coming? You know, it just
absolutely.
It almost wiped out an industry. I mean, it's insane.
My last show that I saw and I reviewed was the 28th of February 2020 when I saw Samantha Fish in Glasgow, and that was my last show.
The last show we played was March 14th of that same year. And the club owner, who has a few clubs in the Bay Area, said, "This is the last show. We're closing it down." And I looked at him. I said, "Should we not play this show?" You know, I don't know what the difference is between tomorrow and tonight, but this was it. You know. So yeah, he's like, "That's the last show." I was like, "Okay," and it went really closed down. I was like, "Wow."
And how is it now where you are? Is it starting to grow again?
I'm starting to see, there's starting to be shows. I did go to a friend's concert that does cover songs.
Yep.
It was the first thing I've done in a year and a half, and there was a lot of people because everybody was excited to be out. And like the last time we toured, another thing that was new for us used to be the fact that you would go play a show and you'd end the night, right? You'd be the headliner, and about 1:30 you'd go home. Now you go in, you play, you leave at like 10:30, and you've got 30 minutes to get out of there so the DJ could start his show. So, and that's kind of how that was. That's a weird thing, but that's how it was at this show we just went to. And then as people started piling in, I felt really uncomfortable because I kind of knew the people at the show, but as all these young people came in, I was like, I'm getting out of here. You know, I didn't trust anybody.
Yeah, listen, I think you've got to stay safe, James. You know, and you know, for you guys, you know, especially musicians, you're right. I think the industry was on its knees for a long time. In England, they're starting to put shows together. There's a couple of heavy metal shows. Bloodstock has just been, which is a big open air heavy metal show. Another open air heavy metal show is Stone Dead Festival, which attracts a lot of the big names, and people are now starting to travel to come to do shows. It's very frustrating, I must admit. It's frustrating, you know, and obviously, like, for guys like you, I have never seen you guys play live. You know, I've listened to a lot of your music, but the one thing that I really miss is going out and seeing a band live and being up close and personal and being able to chat to them afterwards. And that's not been possible for almost 18 months for us, you know. So I'm hoping that you do get your act together and you can get and come to Glasgow.
I would be so thrilled to do that. I can't promise you we will, but I'm pretty positive it's going to happen. We really all want to do it, and I think with the reviews and the way with the response to this record, I think it would be kind of foolish not to. So we'll find a way to do it. It's just a matter of kind of getting it together in the perfect scenario. But I think it'll happen. How was the turnout? How was the crowd at the festival? Was it capacity?
20,000.
Is that pretty standard?
I think it's normally about 30, 35. So I think what a lot of them are doing now, James, is they're doing, if you're double jabbed and you have proof, you can go to the show. If you're not jabbed, if you get a PCR test or a lateral flow test and do that before you go to the show and present it to tell them that you're okay, then they're letting them in. They were doing socially distancing shows here, fully masked up. You know, if it was 1,000 standing, it was down to 500. If it was 750, it was 325. And I think a lot of promoters were just cancelling shows just because they were thinking it's not worth the risk, you know, of putting on a show and half hour before it saying, listen, we can't go ahead. So I think a lot of people were just cancelling. And what we're guided by, and you must be the same in America, is that we're guided by the government, and they will say it's safe to go here, it's safe to go there. We're going to put a gig on, you know, as long as you're double jabbed, you're fine. So I think, especially for Glasgow, I don't know if you've ever been to Glasgow, but the Glaswegians love their music, and I think that when the world does eventually open, there'll probably be a show in Glasgow, I would imagine, for maybe 6 to 9 months every single night, because I think people are just so desperate to get out and play.
Once they open the gates, it's going to be on, right? It's going to be a party, and hopefully everybody's saved their money from not going out, and they get to go out every night and enjoy themselves.
They're too busy buying the Mordred record, James. That's what they're doing.
I'm 1/4 Scottish and 3/4 Italian. My grandparents came from Italy, except for my mother's mother, where her family came from Scotland.
Whereabouts in Scotland, James?
She's in Urquhart. So I'm not exactly sure where. I got to dig into that.
Yeah, you have to dig in, and then you have to let me know. And then when you come to Scotland, we can talk about stuff.
But I do love that area. In fact, a friend of mine, right when this COVID hit, that summer, we were supposed to, the original guitar player, Alex Gerald, we were supposed to do a bicycle trip from Ireland, cross over, do Scotland, Wales, and England down to the south, kind of like a 2.5 week trip. Like COVID kind of canceled that, so we might not do that for another year, but we'll do that. So we'll be through again that way. The two of us have done China, Vietnam, and then from the Pacific to the Atlantic. So we're just trying to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, I know that you work, so I don't want to keep you too long. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, getting to know you a bit better. If you want my review, once we stop filming, I can give you and get your email address and send it to you if you wish.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you can do that. You can share it with the guys, and then you can obviously.
Yeah, they'll like to see it. We can post stuff on the Mordred page.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. But you know, for now, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope that you do get to Glasgow, come and see us, and come and say hi, and we'll grab a couple of beers and talk about this funny video and stuff. Once it's up and running, I'll let you know. I will speak to the PR and let them know where it is, and you can share it out, and it'll get loads of hits. It goes everywhere, Australia, America, Europe, so everyone will get to see it, and we'll get to see that James Sanguinetti is just a normal dude, just chatting about music and wanting to get on the road and rock out.
Yes. All right. Well, we hope to see you. I mean, I hope it's soon too, because we're jonesing to go play somewhere. I mean, we want to see everybody as much as anybody wants to see us. I promise.
Listen, and I think you won't be disappointed, James. But listen, thank you so much for your time. This is Darren from Jace Media in conversation with James Sanguinetti, 6-string gunslinger from Mordred, saying thanks for your time, James. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
All right. Peace. Good to see you.
Take care, bro.
Bye-bye.